Hi everyone, my name is Matt Klutman. I am a high school math teacher at Downers Grove South High School, and today I'm giving you a video on how to Kahoot. Kahoot is a really great website. It is a website that is a mini questionnaire website that allows you to formatively assess students and really give them a good idea of what they know and what they don't know in a very fun and educational manner. Um, Today I'm going to be going through a couple things with you about Kahoots, how to Kahoot, all these different things. But basically, the first thing you need to know when Kahooting or using Kahoot is what is a Kahoot. So a Kahoot is made from a series of multiple choice questions, whether you make them up or whether you use a public Kahoot, which is one that somebody else makes. Um, it's just a series of multiple choice questions that allow students to see what they know. Um, Kahoots are best played in group settings, so classrooms, cafeterias, auditoriums, anywhere that has a big screen that everyone can see the question. They all have internet access. Is a great spot for people to Kahoots. They can be informal, they can be a formative assessment, they can be for fun, they can be for brain breaks. There's all these different ways that you can do a Kahoot. Basically, it's however you see fit, a Kahoot can fit in. Um, Players, like I said before, students, staff, whoever, use their own devices, tablets, iPods, iPads, laptops. They do this and they all look off a screen. So either a projector or a smart board see the question, then they answer the question on their own personal device. It allows this campfire moment. So Kahoot calls it a campfire moment where everyone comes together and they all see the answer and all are following and paying attention together. And really is a great thing to see in your own classroom. Anyone can play as long as they have connection to the internet. You can play on public Kahoots, you can play a personal Kahoot, you can play all over the world. You can play at in your own comfort of your own home and have students play this in their own home. It really is a really cool device, however you see fit. So today in this video, you're going to be able to cover and see what will be covered in this video at which time. So around the 4-minute mark, I'll be teaching you how to create your own account. A minute later, managing your homepage, using searching and finding public Kahoots, editing public Kahoots, creating Kahoots, sharing Kahoots, and starting a Kahoot and what the students see. So throughout this video, you'll be able to look through at these certain times and be able to kind of go back and see exactly what I'm talking about in these different spots. So if you want to reference this site or this video, you can do so. So let's get started. Let's talk about creating your own account so you can use Kahoot in your classroom or wherever you see fit. So this is what the Kahoot website is. So if you look up here at the search engine, it's https getkahoot.com. If you were to go to like Google or Yahoo and type in Kahoot, you'd be able to see it. But getkahoot.com is where you would start all your starting up as a teacher or a creator, how you get these things going. So where you'd want to go is up here, up in the sign in. If you look up here, there's like blog help, sign in, sign up for free, for business, and there's a menu bar. If you already have a Kahoot sign in login name, you just click sign in. But if you don't have one, you would sign up for free. You would just click sign up for free and you go through the process here. So as it goes through, it says what's your role. So again, this doesn't necessarily have to be used in school. It can be used in anywhere you see fit. I've actually found myself using this at home, playing with my friends and family on fun little public Kahoots that other people have made on, you know, brain breaks, brain teasers, logos. It's really a great thing. So for me and for you, obviously, you'd choose teacher. I've actually, at the end of the school year, I've had students use this when they were making final reviews and they were sharing with each other. So they would fill out this, and it really is a really cool thing to see your students do this. But I would choose I'm a teacher, and then from there it asks you other details. So, you know, how you want to see your username. Usually for me, my name's Mr. Quatman. For my students, so I would type in Mr. Quatman, and this just allows my students to, if they ever wanted to see my own Kahoots made for my own specific lessons, they can go and go under the search engine to keyword my name, and they can find all the stuff that says Mr. Quammen in there. Now you also need to have an email address and then a password for this so it can kind of identify that you are a teacher, so they can make sure that you're using this for the proper way. So once you do log in, you figure this all out, you're now going to get to this home screen. So this is the home screen. So I'd like to kind of just talk to you about this, because the home screen is a really important feature, because there's a lot of stuff and everything kind of stems from here once you get in here. So if you kind of can follow my mouse here, up in the top left, the new K, that means create a new Kahoot. That would draw you into making a new Kahoot, which is actually down here, creating a new Kahoot. And there's 3 different Kahoots that you can possibly do. I'll talk about those in a little bit, but kind of going about this home screen. There's also another feature up here called My Kahoots. These are ones that you make yourself, and these are where they're all going to be stored in the My Kahoots section. Also, other ones that are shared with you or ones that you've tagged as favorites, those would also be in your My Kahoots. Public Kahoots, which we'll get into shortly, are the everyone who's ever created a Kahoot or worked with a Kahoot in their life, put them on a public feed, and anyone can use those as long as they're made public. So that's where you would click. You'd click up here for public Kahoots to see anything you want. They also have a support line just in case you have questions, you're trying to do something differently. That's really a great spot to go and get help or questions if you can't find anything online. Notice you can see up here, mine's M. Quatman for Mr. Quatman. You can also see a bunch of different things. So your profile, your email preferences, how you want things sent to you. And this is the big thing that what I've done when I've used these for formative assessments is you get your results, and you can get the results from your students' scores, how well they did, or what questions they need more help on, or how many need help on those questions. You can get the results sent to you via email, on a PDF, or on an Excel spreadsheet. And this is great because you can take this data and you really can then go ahead and start editing and analyzing how your lessons are going and what you need to focus more on, or what students need a little more assistance on which part of your lesson. So I find that to be really, really helpful as a teacher, just trying to make sure that you're meeting the needs of all your students. Additionally, down here on the sides, there's resources, just different things you can learn about Kahoots. You know, once you start getting used to making your own or using other ones, you can kind of get some ideas to really get really crazy and creative with the way that you're going to make your Kahoots. Today, I'm just going to give you a basic introduction, how you make them, how you use them, but you can use these resources to really help you get some pretty awesome Kahoots. Over here, you can see your stats. So for me, I have 96 players. Those are all the students that I worked with this year in my high school that I've had them use public Kahoots for, or my own Kahoots. So you can kind of just see which students have and have not been working with you. It talks about the different Kahoots that you've worked with. And then I also like to see the recent results, like how many students worked on this, how many students worked on this Kahoot, how long it took. So it kind of gives you an idea if you're looking for a quick Kahoot, a little brain break in your class. You can see how long it took, how short it took, and you can possibly even edit, you know, oh man, that's a really long Kahoot. You can change that up just by looking at these recent results. So this is the home page. Now from here, this is where we can get started and really have some fun. So the first thing I'd like to kind of show you is public Kahoots, searching public Kahoots. So if you were to click public Kahoots up here at the top, public Kahoots, you'd come to a screen like this. Now it depends on the day, because this is all based on trending topics and what's new and everything. But you basically get this. You get these millions and millions of Kahoots that people have made on all these different events that are here. And you really can scroll through and find anything that you want, or what you can do is you can go and look for a search. For me, I'm a math teacher. So for me, if I'm going to use these, I'm either going to use some brain teasers or some fun brain break, quick brain break Kahoots, or maybe I want to look at what other math teachers have done on specific topics. For instance, for me, a very basic Kahoot that I could find is adding. Now, I'm a high school teacher, so adding is a really generic, very basic thing. Notice what pops up: second grade, integers, multiplication. This is very young stuff. But say I wanted a more specific topic like factoring. So if I were to type in, ooh, it showed factoring. Okay, so if I were to type in factoring, I'd get a plethora of factoring Kahoots that I can go and search through and look through. And this is going to be huge, because eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can edit and kind of manipulate and add our own questions or delete questions that somebody's already made to make it suitable for your own students. So let's just take a look here. So say you're looking at factoring, you're like, you know what, these are all basically factoring. Let's see what they have. a great thing that I do is I actually preview every Kahoot that I use. Even if it's a fun one, I always preview it. You just want to know what your students are going to see and what questions are going to be asked and if they're even answered correctly. So if you're to click on factoring, all right, I look at this and I'm like, oh man, these are great. These are exactly what my freshmen see. Factoring, factoring, factoring. These are great trinomials. I can totally do this. You can also look at the answer. You can see what the answers that they're going to provide and what the correct answers are. So you actually can test these out really quickly and say, all right, that's good, that's good, that's good. Oh no, this one's crazy. I don't want my leading coefficient. If you look at number 5 down here, I don't want my leading coefficient to be a number other than 1, which 1 through 4 are. I don't want it to be 2 or 5 or 7 and 5, 6, 7. I want it to be 1, so I'm going to delete those. So if you're not satisfied with any of the public Kahoots and you want to kind of make them your own, I'm going to show you what to do next. But basically, this is what you do. So if you're like, I'm good with this, all you have to do is click up here, play, and boom, you can go ahead and play. And that's going to be later in this presentation, what it looks like when you play it. But say you're like, you know what, I like everything in here, but I want to kind of change it. I want to kind of do something myself. I want to add my own little flair. I want to take a couple questions out. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, all right, I'm good with factoring. I'm going to make it a favorite. And what you have to do is you actually have to get copyright access or copyright privileges to take this thing. You don't want to steal it. So you're going to copy it and you're going to use it and kind of edit it that makes it the best way for you possible. So what you do is you click favorite, and what happens is it says up here your Kahoot's been added to your favorite list. So what you do is you go to My Kahoot up here at the top, which is a completely different screen. So now we're going to go to your My Kahoots. And what happens is you see all the different things that I have here as My Kahoots, and the adding, all right, these Kahoots that are up here are all here. Now I don't see the one that I just clicked. That's kind of, oh, sorry, my bad. These are created by me. I'm not looking at the right thing. What you have to do is, since I clicked favorite, it's actually my favorite. So the factoring is the one that I made. Now, if you look here on the factoring one, in order to edit or change your problem, you must see the edit sign. Now, I don't see those up here. When it was created by me, if you look here, when I click the created by me, if I go to adding, duplicates, my solving system, syllabus quiz, all of them have an edit sign right next to adding, right next to everything. You can see an edit, and that allows me to change any of my problems. But if I go back to this factoring, there is no edit here. So I'm like, oh man, how do I really change this? I just made it my favorite. So what you can do is you actually duplicate this, and what this does is it gives you a duplicating privilege, so you can now edit. All right. So by duplicating it, I now can edit any problem and change it, add, subtract, and really make it your own. So let's take a look at what editing does. So if I were to say, yeah, you know what, continue editing. Let's go and edit this thing. I don't want those leading terms to be not 1. So I like question number 1. Where it got funky was question number 5. What you can do is you can take any of these problems on here and you can do a multiple of different things. So for instance, I want to edit this problem. I don't want it. Basically, it's garbage to me. I don't want this leading term to be 1. So what I can do is I can go down here at the bottom. I can add questions, delete questions. I can duplicate questions. So here for me, this is not a question for me. I'm going to delete this question. It's just not, it's not helpful. It's not a helpful problem. So what we do is we just keep adding, deleting, doing whatever. Now, what you can see here along with the editing screen, and this is where I'm going to go and talk to you about editing. Say you do like this question, x squared minus 9x plus 8. I like this. This is a really great thing. This is a great one to factor. All right, what I can do is I can actually edit a bunch of different things. Maybe I like the question, maybe I like the answers, but maybe I don't want the time to be right. You can actually adjust the time to be anything between 5 to 120 seconds. Now, why the time is necessary is because this is actually a timed formative assessment. Yes, we're not looking for right or wrong answers. We'd like to see what the students know, but the cool part about Kahoot and what kids get them going so crazy about is that because it's timed, they actually get points for the quicker they answer it correctly. So with more time, they get more points. So if you're like, hey, man, 120 seconds, 2 minutes is way too long. I want to cut that down to 45 seconds. You can say, all right, well, I'm going to cut it down to 60 seconds, 1 minute, whatever. All right. So along with doing that is, if you look down here, these are all the different answers that the students are going to see on their side. Now, if you are making this yourself, it's important that you always mark what the correct answer is. So clearly the second answer, x minus 1 times x minus 8, that's the correct answer. But say, for instance, you flipped them around and you actually wanted this to be the correct answer. You actually can edit which one you want to be correct or incorrect. But you always need to make sure that you have one correct answer when doing this, because if you have none of them correct, it will not let you go on. There has to be at least one. You can actually have two correct answers. So if I wanted to make this one correct and then maybe like flip-flop these two and make it literally the exact same answer, but just change the two binomials around, these both are technically correct. So now I can get any student's answer in whichever way they want and still be correct here. So say I'm like, yeah, you know what, I want to do that. That's great. I like all the other questions. I'm good. So what you can do down here where we had add a question, delete a question, duplicate, you can actually save and continue. So what it's going to do is it's going to take you through basically the same process of when you make your own Kahoot, which you'll see shortly. And here, what you're going to do is you actually get this preview screen. And I love this. I'm a huge advocate of looking over what you're doing and making sure it's in the proper order. If you look here, you can actually drag and drop a different problem in a different spot. So say you wanted question number 5 to be moved up or moved down, you can actually slide it up and slide it down in order to do this. So if you wanted to reorder these questions, you can go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and slide them. But for me, I like them where they're at. I like the questions. I'm good. So I'm going to save and continue down here at the bottom. All right. Now, lastly, before you go ahead and save this and get it going, this is where you can allow your students or other teachers to see your stuff. This privacy setting in the middle, you can either click on here and be public or private. Public means that anyone can search and figure this out. Private means that only you can get this and only you can share it. For me, I make everything public. My stuff's not the greatest stuff in the world, and if it is, I want other teachers to see it and have abilities to get their students to understand math in the best way possible. So I make everything public. What also is important for me, what I do is in the description, I always like putting what we're talking about. So like factoring, binomials, trinomials, high school. So all these keywords, high school math, math. I like putting all these on here because if any teacher's looking, any of these words, trinomials, binomials, factoring, all this stuff, will literally click up and pop up when they start looking them up in the search engine. So I always find that to be a really, really important thing. This difficulty level bar, you can actually change that. If your questions are really easy, you can turn it and you can say, you know what, they're not really that challenging. Or hey, you know what, for factoring, binomials, trinomials, it's a little more challenging. You can move it up. So it allows the teacher to kind of know where you're coming from here. I think it's intermediate, so we're good. You can additionally put within the description or the tags, you can also put the same stuff in here too. So if you wanted to go and put that stuff down here, you could do that. You can put that down there. And this just allows other people to search and get these keywords, and boom, it now brings them to your own Kahoot. So I'm good with this factoring one. We're cool. So now, bam, this factoring Kahoot is now in my own Kahoots. My Kahoots originally had 12. And now it's got 13 in there. So if I were to go to my Kahoots right now, let's save and exit. All right, you're going to see duplicative factoring. Yay, clearly it wasn't mine. All right, I borrowed it from Panda Power 33. But I'm showing you how I edited it. I wanted to change it. So now, hey, this is my factoring. This is my factoring one that I want to use in my own classroom. Now this is nice because the ones that I like, it now stays in my own Kahoots. If you look here up in this My Kahoots tab, all right, these are all my Kahoots, the ones that I use. And eventually, if you really enjoy Kahoots like I do, you're going to eventually have hundreds of Kahoots that are on here that you use daily or within the week. And all you have to do is search within your own Kahoots, algebra, factoring, blah, blah, blah. And they all will pop up, whichever one you're using. And especially if you're using the keywords, you can now find them at any time you want. So it's a really important thing. Once you make them, they're all going to be saved here and they're all going to be stored here so that you can have them. One thing that I also like is, say for instance you are back at the public Kahoot. Let's just click on public Kahoot and just say for instance you really liked geometry volume review. Wow, that's funny, it's math right here. Say I was like, you know what, I've done this Kahoot before, I thought it was great questions, I like it, I don't want to change anything. What you do is once you click favorite, if I click favorite here and I went back to my Kahoots, right? If you look up at my favorites, that's where it stays. It actually will stay. Even though I didn't make it, I can actually favorite and like save them like you would like a website on Google or any of your Internet Explorer type things, where you can go back and refer back to those things. So it's now here, geometry volume review. I like that. I can keep it here and I now can look at it. Even though I didn't make it, I can always refer back to it here. So that's a real cool feature that Kahoot allows you to do. So now after we edit it, say we're using Kahoots, we're searching through, we're really doing good, and we're like, you know what, I think I'm ready to make my own Kahoot. Well, making your own Kahoot and creating your own Kahoot is very, very similar to editing your own Kahoot. All you have to do is just click this new K up here at the top, and it takes you back to your home screen. And we're going to look down here to create a new Kahoot. And there are actually 3 styles of Kahoots. There's quiz version, which are multiple choice. There's a discussion, which is really students that are just typing in free responses, and it kind of just polls students' questions. And then lastly is a survey. I've done the quiz and the survey, and I found those two to be most useful. I'm a math teacher, so I found those to be most useful. Survey was best like when I was doing a review session. I'm like, all right, what do we want to do this week for our finals review? And do you want to do, brain breaks? Do you want to do this, that, and the other? And it allowed students to kind of have a voice on what they felt was most necessary and not feel pressured by their peers. But usually what I do is I use quiz. So, you can go and play around with these two, but I'm going to really show you how to make a Kahoot quiz here. So once you click quiz, what you do is based on whatever you're doing, you want to have a title up here. So for me, let's keep it short and simple. Let's do subtraction. Subtraction. All right. So as a math teacher, I'm going to do a subtraction lesson or subtraction Kahoot. So I'm going to click go. So I'm just starting from ground floor. I'm like, I want to make a really nice subtraction lesson. So from here, all I do is the quiz is called subtraction. I'm just going to start making questions. So, all right, 10 minus 3. All right, 10 minus 3. That's my question. So the students will be able to see that. What I'm going to do now is I have to actually now say, all right, do I want the question to have points? Clearly we do because we want it to be competitive. Do we want there to be a time limit? Yes. Now, I'm a high school teacher, so if I'm doing subtraction and it's 10 minus 3, these better be very short. So I'm going to say 10 seconds. And now what I have to do is I have to choose how many answers do I want. So again, you need to have the right answer in one of these. So I'm going to make the first one the right answer. So it's 7. And let's just put some fun ones. So say they did 10 plus 3, which is 13. Let's say they did 3 minus 10, so it's negative 7. And let's do a random one. Let's do 70. Let's just say they were looking really fast. Now, once you do this, make sure that you choose the correct answer. So 7 is the correct answer, so we select it, and that is the correct one. All the rest will give them a poor score. So now, from here, because clearly one question Kahoot is a little silly, what I can do is I can add a question, duplicate it, or save and get this thing over. Now, say for instance, I don't want to, maybe you had a very elaborate question and you just want to edit it just a little. If you were to go duplicate and click this duplicate button, you literally make the exact same question, and now we can just change it. Instead of 10 minus 3, let's make it 10 minus 6. So now from there, what we can do is we now take literally the exact same question and we just change up the answer. So let's leave 7 there, but it's no longer the correct answer. We'll leave 13. Let's change negative 7 to the correct answer 4, and bam, let's make this thing 4. All right. So now literally what you can do is you can constantly change and edit, and notice the time limit stays the same, the points per question. So it really isn't, it's saving you time. And as a teacher, time is everything. Time to spend time with your family, to grade papers, to get your lessons in order. Literally saving time is of the essence. So this duplicate key is huge. Now say you wanted to make add a brand new question. Say you were to do clearly I'm not super creative, but 12 minus 11. All right, and say we only wanted one answer or 2 answers. Say we wanted the right answer 1, and say we wanted negative 1. What we can do, instead of having 3 answers up here, we can actually use this minus sign next to answer 4. And if you click that, that actually reduces the number of answers that you can have. So you don't necessarily always need to have 4. You can have 2, you could have 3, you can have 5. But here I'm going to have just 2, and I'm going to choose 1 as my correct answer. So click it, correct. Come on, buddy. There we go. So 1's my correct answer, and I'll say, you know what, these 3 questions, that's perfect for me. I'm going to save and continue. So now again, you get that ability to look and edit. Say you're like, oh, you know what? I want to make this one the first one that I want. I'm going to rearrange it. I'm going to move these things around. You can again slide or rearrange these orders by dragging and dropping them in place. I'm good with their order. So now I'm going to save and continue. So as I look here and I'm like, oh man, look at that. All right. I can now say, hey, my description is subtraction. All right, and my tag, I'll put subtraction here. There we go, subtraction. Now, along with this, what I can do is I can make this private or public. I'm going to make it public so anyone can find it. And one thing that I do, and this has been something that I found over the past couple months using Kahoots, is I'm actually going to change the name of this to be Mr. Quatman. That's my name, Quatman's Subtraction Kahoot. And the reason I do that is because I actually have my students search my name as my keyword. And what they can do is they can go through all the different Kahoots that I've ever made. So I always put my name. So whatever your name is or whatever you want your students to reference, and try to have it be consistent, they can always search on that and they can find any Kahoot that you've ever made. So I'm going to call this my subtraction Kahoot. Now, I saved this. There's my new title. I just realized, actually looking at the end, I actually screwed up a question. So I'm going to click down at the bottom left, edit question. And it actually was question 3. Now I'm glad this happened because what you can do is down here at the bottom left is you can see all these different numbers. You can see all the different number questions. Now I noticed question number 3 was wrong. I realized that I clicked one too many ones and I screwed that up. So I actually can go back and say, hey, I screwed up that problem. I can now save and boom, and go through it. And I noticed that through this little screen where it allowed you to evaluate and see your questions that you had. So save, continue, get this thing going, and our Kahoot is ready to go. Now notice it says, oops, you must select a primary audience. Now, for me, because I made this public, I want this to be a school thing. All right, I'm not going to make it university. I'm not going to make it business or social. Clearly, this is school. It's for math. If you were to make a fun one, maybe you're using it with your family or friends, you might choose it to be a social one. But most of these are going to be school. It just allows different people to look for different things. So I'm going to save, continue, bam, I'm out of there. So now, we've just created our own Kahoot. Now, once you're done creating your own Kahoot, all right, this is going to allow you to do something a little fun. Now, before you go any further, you can actually make your Kahoot a little personalized. Maybe you want to put your picture on there or a picture of something if you're doing something a little more fun. I'm a math teacher, and not to bash math teachers, we're not the most creative people in the world. So for me, I'm going to leave it plain and simple. All right, we're all about the math here, not the flair. So I'm just going to call this thing done. Now, come on. My computer's going slow today. Come on, there we go. Now, this brings me to my second and last thing that I want to talk about with Kahoots in this video. After you create your own Kahoot or edit your own Kahoot or do whatever, all right, one of the best things about creating your own Kahoot is sharing it. So if you don't make it public, maybe you make it private, or maybe you do make it public and you want others to see it, you can actually share this. So this screen right now allows you to share, and there's a bunch of different ways. You want to share it through Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, or even emailing it. You click any of these 3 or any of these 5, it works. You also can share with other Kahoot members. So other members in school, if you want to make them a Kahoot person, you could go ahead and do that. So for me, I know one of the teachers at my school's name, and it's their Kahoot username. So it's not their normal name. For me, what I'll do is I'll actually type in their name. So this is their username, and it's lcox01. So I could actually send her my Kahoot through Kahoot right there. But say we're like, you know what, I can't find their name, or I can't figure it out, or not sure if that was the right one. What you can do is you can actually send it through all these, and what it does is it sends them a link, and they can go to that link and it gets sent to their own My Kahoots page, and they now have access to editing it, using it, and creating it as their own. So that's like a really fun thing, a really great thing to do. I actually really like this because my students at the end of the year, I had them use this by creating their own Kahoots as a final review activity, and it allowed me to see really what they thought was the most important parts of the unit and of the year. And it really allowed me to say, hey man, I really didn't drive home on this one topic. They're not even covering it. They're not even looking at it. They don't even think it's important. So for me as a teacher, I can use Kahoots, and have found Kahoots to be a very important thing to see what my students know and don't know. It just really allows me, and I think it allows other teachers to see, hey, if these students can make a review, they clearly know what's important on the test, and they're clearly going to do well. If they're giving you basic questions or things that have nothing to do with what you're learning about, clearly those students need a little more time or a little more focus from you on your end. So let's go to the last thing. So now you've edited, you've created, you've made your own Kahoot, you're ready to go. What does it look like? All right, what does it look like? So from the teacher's end, say we like this subtraction Kahoot, all you have to do is click play now. And the screen that you're going to see either on your smartboard or on your overhead is something that looks like this. So it says the title of your Kahoot, and there's two ways that you can play. You can play a classic mode, which means every kid plays for themselves, or a team mode, which means that if you only had maybe like a classroom set of tablets or something, and maybe 10 of them, and you wanted kids to pair up, you can play in a team mode, and it just allows teams to play together. You could do that in the classic mode. I'm a big fan of the classic mode. So I'm going to play this through classic mode. Now, as it's logging on, the students will go to kahoot.it. Now, that website is right up here, kahoot.it. And you can just refer your students, hey, go onto your tablet, your cell phone, your laptop, and type in kahoot.it. So if you were a student, all right, all you'd have to do is go to kahoot.it, and this is what your site looks like. This is what your website looks like. And all you do now is you click in the game pin that is up on the front screen of your board. So basically back to this site. If I were a student, I would be typing in 749272. So 749272. So once they click this in, they're now a part of your classroom's Kahoot session. Now, what they're going to ask them for is their nickname. Now, I'm a big fan of, hey, needs to be an appropriate nickname, something that, you're comfortable everyone knowing and calling you by. So clearly for me, it's Mr. Q, and this is what the entire classroom is going to see. So I click that in, and this is what they're going to see. They're going to see, you're in, you've signed in, you're ready to go. On our end, the Teacher Center in the front screen, it's going to say all the different students' names that are up here. Sarah, Joe, Phil, Arnold, whatever. They're all up here. If you don't like the name that a student's using, you just highlight their name, and you can click it, and it can get rid of them and delete them from this, and they would have to re-log in. So that's always a good way to kind of dictate what names are appropriate or not. You can just kick them out of the Kahoot. So say you're like, all right, all the kids are in, yay, we're ready to go. All you do now is you just go to this top right button, start, and it starts the Kahoot right here. Now, these Kahoots are a timed thing. So what's going to happen is the students are going to see on their end, ready, and up on the board, they're going to see the question. They will not see the question on their end. So you can see on my end, at the student end, there's nothing here. There's no question here. You only see the question on the teacher end, which is up at the front. So they're going to see 10 minus 3. Now notice the timer is here. All right, these are 20 seconds. So I ran out of time on that one. I didn't answer. All right, but what happens is at the end of this, whatever question answer is shown, all right, you're going to see the answers and how many students answered what. So it's like a bar graph. It's really nice. I'll answer it correctly on the next one, but you're going to get that. The show image button also allows you to pop back up. If you use a picture in the previous problem and you wanted students to see that, say you're an art teacher and you want to say, what artist created this picture? You can go back to that picture or that graph or whatever and really talk to the students about, hey, this is the right answer. This is why it's that. So once we do that, you get to this next screen, which is probably my student's favorite screen, which is the answers, or the scoreboard. And it shows what students are in what position. Now, because I didn't answer it, I have 0 points. The one cool thing about this, and the thing that I love most, I'm a high school baseball and football coach. I'm all about competition. I'm all about getting the kids competitive and excited. This only shows the top 5 students' scores. So if students are not doing well, this is a formative assessment. This is a formative assessment tool. We do not want to discourage them from trying, from answering, from doing their best. So it's awesome that they do not see, oh my God, Joey's in last place. It just keeps kids from being bullied or feel bad about not understanding things, because again, with a formative assessment, we're not looking for how much they've learned at that time. We're looking to see what they know and how we can get them to learn more or do better. It's more of a tool for us teachers. So I'm a huge fan of them only having the top 5. Now on the student end, and here it says I'm in first. Clearly I was the only one there. Say we had more students here, and say I wasn't in first place. what it would do is it would say what position you're in and how far behind you are from the person in front of you, and the person, how far a person is behind you. So it kind of lets you know who's ahead and behind you, but it doesn't say who's in last place. It never uses anything like last place, second to last place. It just says what place you're in. So no student's going to feel bad about what position they're in at all. So it's really, really good about this. I'll play one more question just so you can see kind of what it looks like on your end when you do score something. So here we go. So again, I said before, this is a time thing. So 10 minus 6. So the quicker you get this, the better. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So I got to click the yellow thing. So on my screen, I need to click yellow. So notice it says, oh, it gives you some encouragement, lightning smart. Boom, I'm correct. Now it waits until the timer's over or all students have finished. Since I'm the only student, notice I got 798 points out of 1,000. So I'm clearly going to be in first place. Notice here, you can see I was the one with the right answer. So again, it shows you as a bar graph. And then you can see, oh, Mr. Klobman is in first place. Now, I love Kahoots. I love them. I think this is such a great tool for teachers and students to use. It keeps them excited. It keeps them passionate about learning. And it actually breaks up the monotony of a little more boring class period, maybe a lesson, with a brain break using Kahoot, or a nice formative assessment, kind of seeing what students know at the end of a lesson. A great exit slip. It just really allows teachers to do so much with a tool that has so many different avenues to use it. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm going to be using it a lot during this upcoming year. I'm going to be using it as an assessment tool to see what students know at the end of a semester, kind of creating their own reviews. One awesome thing that I saw at the end of the year, along with my students making reviews for themselves, is they were sharing it with each other. They were excited. They were asking each other, try my Kahoot. See what I've done here. Look what I've done. And it just really made me excited and passionate about teaching and using technology, and I really am a huge proponent of this Kahoot program. So hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully you can go ahead and look at this, and you can snap back at all the different times and see what you want to look at. I just really hope you learned a lot about Kahoots, and hopefully it inspired you to use Kahoots in this upcoming school year, or even during the school year whenever you're listening to this video. So take care, God bless, and good luck teaching.